If you've ever been intrigued by the elegant swirl of the yin-yang symbol, wondered about the serene faces of stone temple guardians, or heard the phrase, "go with the flow," and sensed a deeper wisdom behind it, you've already brushed up against the world of Taoism. Yet, what often reaches the West is a distilled version, a spiritual aesthetic of balance and harmony, sometimes reduced to a decorative philosophy. But to truly understand Taoism is to embark on a journey into one of humanity's most profound and enduring attempts to answer the fundamental questions. What is the nature of reality? And how should we live within it? At its heart, Taoism is not about adopting a set of beliefs, but about discovering a way of being that is in alignment with the ultimate, indefinable source and order of the universe, the Tao. This exploration will peel back the layers, moving beyond common misconceptions to reveal Taoism as a sophisticated philosophical system and a deeply rooted religious tradition. We will unravel the relationship between the elusive Tao and the tangible world we inhabit, and in doing so, you might find a perspective that resonates powerfully with the complexities of modern life. The unnameable force. What exactly is the Tao? The central and most challenging concept in Taoism is that, to simply put, the Tao is the way. But it is not a way, like a path through the woods. It is the why, the fundamental, unifying principle that underlies and permeates all of existence. It is the source of everything, the force that guides the natural order, and the pattern that connects the cosmos. The very first lines of the Tao Te Ching, the foundational text attributed to the sage Lao Tzu, deliver a seemingly paradoxical warning. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. This is the first and most crucial step in understanding. The Tao cannot be fully captured by human language or intellectual concepts. It is too vast, too fundamental. To define it is to limit it. We can only point toward it, using metaphors and observing its manifestations in the natural world. Imagine trying to describe the concept of gravity to someone who has never experienced it. You can't show it to them directly. You can only describe its effects, how an apple falls from a tree, how planets orbit a star. Similarly, we cannot see the Tao, but we can witness its workings everywhere. The generative rhythm of the Tao, from 1 to 10,000 things. While the Tao itself is undefinable and formless, Taoist cosmology offers a framework for how the manifest universe arises from it. This is beautifully encapsulated in the famous passage from Tao Te Ching, chapter 42. The Tao gave birth to one. One gave birth to two. Two gave birth to three. And three gave birth to the 10,000 things. This is not a literal, scientific creation myth, but a profound metaphysical model. The Tao gave birth to one. The undifferentiated, unified wholeness emerges from the formless Tao. This is the state of primordial unity, often called the great ultimate type. One gave birth to two. From unity emerges duality, the dynamic interplay of complementary opposites. This is the birth of yin and yang, archetypal pairs of dark light, receptive, active, earth, heaven, feminine, masculine. Crucially, these are not opposing forces in conflict, but interdependent and complementary partners in a perpetual, flowing dance. Each contains the seed of the other, as shown in the famous symbol. Two gave birth to three. The interaction between yin and yang generates a third, harmonizing force, a state of dynamic equilibrium or creative tension. This three is the fertile ground from which all potentialities can spring forth. Three gave birth to the 10,000 things. The 10,000 things is a classical Chinese phrase meaning all of manifested reality, every star, rock, tree, animal, and human being. Everything in the universe is a unique expression and blend of the yin and yang energy, born from the creative interplay initiated by the Tao. Therefore, the world is not seen as a creation ex nihilo out of nothing by a distant god, but as a spontaneous, ongoing emanation from the Tao. The universe is a natural, self-organizing process. This worldview leads to a primary ethical and practical injunction in Taoism: to align one's life with this natural order. The ideal is not to conquer nature, but to understand its patterns and flow with them. This is the essence of Wu-Wei effortless action, which we will explore further. In the next part, we will delve into the crucial distinction between the philosophical stream of Taoism, which contemplates these cosmic principles, and the religious tradition, which provides a framework for worship, ritual, and personal transcendence. The two currents of a great river, Taoist philosophy versus religious Taoism. To truly grasp what Taoism is, one must understand a fundamental distinction that often gets blurred: the difference between Taoist philosophy and religious Taoism. Imagine a great river. Philosophical Taoism is the deep, steady, current the foundational principles and worldview. Religious Taoism is the vibrant, living ecosystem. On the surface, the rituals, deities, and institutions that grew from it. They are interconnected parts of the same system, yet distinct in their focus and practice. Philosophical Taoism. The path of natural accord, this stream, often called Dojia in Chinese, meaning school of the Tao, is rooted in the core texts and their radical wisdom. Its primary figures are the elusive sages, Lao Tzu, the legendary author of the Tao Te Ching. His work is a series of 81 poetic, often cryptic chapters that serve as a guide for rulers and individuals on how to live in harmony with the Tao. It champions humility, simplicity, and wu-wei. Chang Tzu. If Lao Tzu provided the philosophical blueprint, Chang Tzu was its most brilliant and imaginative interpreter. His book, the Zhuangzi, is filled with parables, dreams, and humorous dialogues that challenge conventional wisdom and logic. His famous butterfly dream, where he wonders if he is a man dreaming he is a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming he is a man, perfectly illustrates the Taoist skepticism of fixed identities and rigid perceptions of reality. The goal of philosophical Taoism is not worship, but a profound personal transformation. It is a path of inner alchemy, where one seeks to shed the artificial constructs of society, greed, ego, and fixed judgments to return to a state of uncarved wood, a natural and spontaneous way of being. The ideal person in this tradition is the sage, who moves through the world with effortless action, wu-wei, not by forcing their will upon it, but by perceiving and aligning with the natural flow of the Tao. This is the Taoist art of being that makes one resilient, effective, and at peace. Religious Taoism, the path of ritual and immortality. This stream, known as Dao Zhao, or Teachings of the Tao, emerged centuries later. Around the 2nd century CE, it organized the philosophical insights into a formal religious system with a vast pantheon of gods, immortals, complex rituals, and a priestly class. Its foundational moment is often linked to the revelation received by Zhang Daoling, who became the first celestial master. While philosophical Taoism speaks of merging with the Tao in a metaphysical sense, religious Taoism provides a more concrete goal: the pursuit of physical immortality and spiritual transcendence. This is not merely a metaphorical immortality of the soul, but a literal, physical transformation of the body into an eternal, incorruptible form that can ascend to the heavens. To achieve this, religious Taoism developed an extensive array of practices. Alchemy, both external way, involving the creation of elixirs of immortality through complex chemical processes, and internal Neden, which uses the body itself as a laboratory, circulating and refining vital energies, key through meditation and breath control. This is the practical application of Taoist alchemy. Ritual and liturgy, elaborate ceremonies conducted by ordained priests to commune with deities, bring order to the community, and harness cosmic energies. Deity worship. A complex hierarchy of gods, many of whom were once historical figures or deified forces of nature. The three pure ones, for instance, represent the highest manifestations of the Tao. A symbiotic relationship, while a philosopher might see the pantheon of gods as symbolic representations of cosmic forces. A religious practitioner engages with them as real, potenbinze. A philosopher seeks harmony, a devotee seeks salvation and divine assistance. Yet, they are not mutually exclusive. The religious practices are, in essence, technologies for achieving the philosophical ideal of life so perfectly in tune with the Tao that one transcends ordinary human limitations. This duality is why Taoism can appear so contradictory. It contains both a profound non-theistic philosophy and a vibrant polytheistic religion. It can speak to the modern, secular seeker, contemplating the yin and yang energy in their life, and to a traditional villager praying for healing at a local temple. The indigenous route, why Taoism is China's spiritual bedrock. To understand why Taoism holds such a unique position in Chinese civilization, one must look beyond its philosophical depth and religious structures to its role as the nation's most authentic, spiritual and cultural bedrock. Unlike Buddhism, which traveled from India, or Christianity and Islam, which arrived from the West, Taoism sprang forth from the very soil and soul of China itself. It is the intellectual and spiritual counterpart to Confucianism, together forming the yin and yang of the Chinese worldview, a philosophy forged in the landscape. The core ideas of Taoism did not emerge in a vacuum. They are a direct reflection of the ancient Chinese relationship with the natural world. China is a vast land of dramatic contrasts, monsoon-fed rivers and arid plains, towering mountains and fertile valleys. Observing the cycles of drought and flood, the change of seasons, and the relentless yet non-forceful power of nature, the early Taoist sages discerned a pattern. They saw a self-regulating, intelligent order that required no divine micromanagement. This order was the Tao. This led to a worldview that was fundamentally this-worldly rather than otherworldly. The goal was not to escape to a heavenly paradise, but to find harmony and longevity within the natural world. This is why concepts like Wu, way acting in accordance with the natural flow, are so central. It is a practical wisdom for navigating a complex and often unpredictable environment. The deep-seated Chinese reverence for nature, evident in traditional landscape painting and poetry, is profoundly Taoist in spirit, the enduring influence from medicine to management. The principles of Taoism have seeped into nearly every facet of Chinese culture, often in ways that are so fundamental they go unnoticed. Traditional Chinese medicine TCM is essentially applied Taoism. Health is viewed as a state of balanced yin and yang energy, and the harmonious flow of key vital energy through the body's illness is a blockage or imbalance. The physician's role is not to attack a disease, but to assist the body in restoring its own natural equilibrium, a direct application of Taoist alchemy to the human body. The martial arts practices like Tai Chi and Qigong are moving meditations on Taoist principles. They are not primarily about combat, but about cultivating and circulating qi, learning to yield to force yin in order to overcome it yang, and embodying wu wei in motion. Art and aesthetics. Chinese landscape paintings, known as Shanshui mountain water, are not mere representations of scenery. They are visual expressions of the Tao. The majestic enduring mountains Yang and the Sof. Flowing waters Yin depict the dynamic balance of the cosmos. The deliberate use of empty space Lubai is not unfinished. It represents the fertile void of the Tao from which all forms emerge. Governance and strategy. The Tao Te Ching is in part, a manual for rulers. It advises that the best leader is one who is barely noticed, who trusts the people to manage themselves, and who intervenes only when necessary. A philosophy of minimalist governance. This soft power approach, as well as the strategic flexibility found in classics like The Art of War, which is deeply influenced by Taoist thought, continues to inform Chinese political and business strategies. Taoism in the modern world. The unchanged relevance of an ancient path in our contemporary era of climate crisis, digital overload, and existential anxiety. Taoism offers not an escape, but a recalibration. Its teachings provide a crucial counterweight to the relentless pursuit of growth, control, and consumption that defines much of modern life. An antidote to hyperactivity, the cult of productivity, and the pressure to constantly hustle is a state of extreme yang. Taoism reminds us of the generative power of yin, of rest, reflection, and useless time. It validates the need to simply be, teaching that true creativity and insight arise from stillness, not from frantic effort. An ecological conscience. Long before the environmental movement, Taoism taught a philosophy of deep ecology. It asserts that humanity is not separate from nature, but an integral part of it. To harm the natural world is to harm ourselves. This perspective offers a spiritual and ethical foundation for sustainable living, a path to personal resilience. The practice of observing the interplay of yin and yang energy in our own emotions and circumstances, understanding that joy contains the seed of sorrow and difficulty, the seed of opportunity, fosters a profound inner resilience. It allows us to meet the inevitable changes of life, not with resistance and anxiety, but with acceptance and adaptability. This is the ultimate Taoist art of being. Conclusion: the unbroken way. So, what is Taoism really about? It is not a monolithic religion of dogmatic beliefs, nor is it simply a passive philosophy of going with the flow. It is a multifaceted tradition that began with a radical insight into the nature of reality, the nameless, eternal Tao, and blossomed into a complete culture, a system of health, a guide to governance, and a path to personal liberation. It is the indigenous voice of China, a voice that speaks of harmony over domination, of spontaneity over rigid control, and of finding supreme power in alignment with the way things are. From the cosmic dance of creation to the practical Taoist secrets of love for the present moment, it provides a map for navigating the complexity of existence. In a world that often feels out of balance, the ancient, unbroken way of Taoism offers a timeless wisdom that the path to a truly powerful and peaceful life lies not in fighting the current, but in learning to swim with its deepest, most natural flow.